we're talking a lot about college application. Let's go into more details. What are the keys to successful college admission essays?
I
I
feel like
want to look. Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like we already talked a little bit more about the admission essays because this is like something very general because you have to think about a personality, you have to think about what you mentioned, like storytelling, you have to think about what Clint mentioned about like the character, movie. I do feel like we can give a lot of like inspiration. But to come back to the last stage of the essay, if you don't really have the story to tell, if you don't really experience anything, you can't really fake a story, make a story in the end, because that's not your story. You can't really, show your experience. So that's why if you want me to share a little bit about the keys to successful college admission essay, I probably want to trace back to 3, 4, 5, or even more years to try to let the kids to experience life, to get some feelings about life, so this is something I do feel like they lack of, and it's just really hard to make, right? So the students always get a straight A, never feel struggle, always feel like effortless, and never did anything, unsuccessfully, and like whatever she tries, you always get it, and you don't probably worry about it, right? You think that's a perfect kid, but when it's come to the essay part, you worry a lot because there's no drawback, there's no frustration. Well, I do feel like they are a lot of frustration, no drawback, but the thing is like the parents fix them. So then they lost the important chance to experience, so they don't have feeling to share about it. So for that part, I think like Clint and Dr. Grablake would like to share a little bit more examples, for the past students. Dr. Grablake, you want to go ahead first?
Mute myself. Yeah, certainly. Yeah. And I tell you, Clint hit the nail right on the head when he said tell stories and tell narratives, because they're so much more interesting when you think about a college admissions officer having to get through a stack of applications. Dry, dull essays are not going to be read all that much beyond just the first few lines. So if you can catch someone's interest right from the beginning. Now, what are some good stories that would really help and that would be, well, that would be unique? If you want some from my experience, just a couple here. I had a student who had a job working in a lab. It was here in Southern California and through one of the major universities. And he had some ethical qualms about some of the testing that was done on the animals there. And he wrote about the fact that he began his essay giving a speech explaining the virtues of all of the experimentation they were doing and all the advances for humans, but he realized some guilt. So he was racked with guilt because he knew about all the mice that had to be sacrificed through the whole thing. Well, through this, we developed a number of little stories and avenues to go into in which he began to think further and reflect on what he was doing. And whereas he couldn't give up this job, he realized that greater ethics and that kind of research were not only the kind of things that should be done, but played a big role in what he wanted to study and devote his career to. So, and that's one thing right there, because a lot of people can say, yeah, I got a job doing research. Isn't that wonderful? What was it, though, that you gained from it and that you could bring to that experience that's going to say a lot about you? That's one. I don't want to take up all the stories. I can go into tons and tons of them, though. But
Yeah, save some. Save some.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Clint. Yeah, do you want to share some about your thing about key to the success college essays?
Um, yeah, I think especially when a student doesn't know what to write, or maybe the student has done, got good grades, but they don't know how they stand out. I think this is a good point to start allowing yourself to dream and start thinking about what are your real goals in life and where do you see yourself if you got into your dream school, what would you be doing? And one of the first mistakes students will make is they just say, if you're studying biology, you might say, well, I want to learn more biology. But that's not the answer that I want to hear. I want to hear what you're going to do when you learn more biology. And that can be a very fun thing to sit down and think about as a student. And it's something that many students haven't done yet because you've been so focused on the goals right in front of you and the thing, doing the test and the homework that you don't get a chance to speculate further in the future. So now you can sit down and think about where do you really want to go in your life? And what are some unique things that you can do with your passions or the subjects that you like? What are some interesting directions that you can go with that? And any path is open to you at this point. So it's a very fun time to sit down and just start brainstorming about what directions do you really want to go. And this can be a very good thing to talk to a coach about, and it just helps to really talk through these points.
Yes, I agree. And also, I want to remind the students or whoever going to apply this year, just do not try to start to write a perfect essay because that stress kind of like stuck you there and you can't really write. You know, that's one of the biggest issue that we have been facing every year. So when students start essay, they just say like, oh, what kind of essay can bring me into, let's say, Stanford, Harvard? How I'm going to write an essay for Stanford, Harvard? What they like, what is called a good essay, what is called a good story. Oh, let me search some. So they start search and then they start get like some sample essays online. You know, every year the Yale and the colleges, they just publish some essays, just show like, wow, the student's essay is perfect, you know. And after they read them, oh my God, I can't really write anything. I don't have twin brother. Didn't lost any leg. I didn't have a miserable life. Plus I'm Asian. I'm not really like a, you know, like being discriminated or something like bad experience in history. What am I gonna do? I don't have any mystery to sell. And then they read some other essays like, oh my God, they have like such a unique experience. I don't have it. I'm just a plain person. Well, I don't believe there's a plain person. Everybody has a shining point, but you just really need to have a faith to show yourself to shine like a star. That's the biggest challenge for our counselor who working with the students for the essay. So I would say the key to successful essay is like you have to be confident. You would like to show yourself. That's the first thing. First the key, I would say.
Thank you so much for sharing, Jean. And as you mentioned earlier, in the earlier question, you kind of mentioned, what about STEM students? What about really introverted STEM students? How would our counselor help them to open up, to start sharing, to think about their life, their stories, and try to create a story that meet their personal goals and also show who they are?
Well, actually, I do feel like I think Dr. Yen is smiling. I think she would like to hear share more later. So one thing I want to just share a little bit before Dr. Yen start. Okay, so we do have many students who are really brilliant, smart, and they got into really top schools for STEM major. And those who get into the top schools, they have a very charming personality. Like yesterday, my interview with my student Elaine, she went to like MIT, Columbia, and a computer science major. And the conversation, you don't really feel like you're talking with a STEM student because she is a very, like just really active, energetic, you know, just happy, like laughing all the time. And then whenever I talk to her, I just feel like happy, you know, she just bring happiness to everybody around her. She just feel like happy, you know, happy person. So those kind of personality and also the emotional intelligence, I feel like that's the key to bring her to the higher level, which is not like a, you know, average level. I think that's, if you want to tell the difference, maybe that's the difference because we do see a lot of common points on the students who are working on the, I would say, computer science or engineer or like that direction. The lack of personality is something I really feel like is something we should focus on before maybe like ninth grade, 10th grade. Yeah, so Dr. Yan, what do you think? You are helping so many students on the STEM major and you're looking at their essay. I know you told me we discussed about it, you know? So yeah, would you like to share a little bit from your side?
Yeah. I think for like those STEM students, actually a lot of STEM students have very creative side, just like June said. Well, in fact, I think for students who can reach these top tier schools, their grades and even some competitions don't get them there. It's their personality and the things they do. Yeah, so that's why I actually want the students to work on projects. I think when I first tell students we have opportunity to offer individual research projects, the first question I received is that, can you tell me a topic? I said, no, I don't want to tell you a topic, although I have tons of topics that I can give to you to work on. However, I really want that topic comes from you because this is a process for you to really figure out what you want to learn, right? And I think a lot of Dr. Bragg and Clint also mentioned students, they still don't know what to do, although they have a lot of, like they do very well in their standard tests, they do very well with their courses. But well, think of all the high school students. actually not much variety, like the courses that you can take at a school. And then it's really hard to differentiate those students based on their pure GPA. I think the students who want to apply those for top schools, they have perfect GPAs, but everyone has top GPAs. So many students with top GPAs. So how can you show your passion, your interest in something? That's why actually we highly recommend the students to work on individual projects. That could be research projects directly related to your academic interest. It could be individual project that is related to your personal interest. So through working on the project, it is a self-discovery. And then I'm pretty sure you will encounter difficulties because no project can be done very smoothly. Yeah, through overcoming the difficulties, you can know more about yourself. What are the things that excite you? And what do you want to dig in more and more.
And the plus, you can share how you feel when
Yeah,
you went through those like frustrations, the drawbacks. I think that's a very good opportunity.
for you
So
to show in the essay. Yeah.
yes. So actually, Dr. Ian is helping students on the STEM major direction, like research project. So maybe later, if you have any question, you can ask. Dr. Ian can introduce a little bit more about that. But the one thing I want to remind before every parents or students consider doing a research project, just don't ask question like, "Oh, can you guys guarantee a published paper?" So usually my answer should be, can you guarantee you write a paper on it? So this is something I really want to remind, because when you just build a road to the other side and you don't let the kids to build it, or just to join us to build it, it just really really bad, not only to the personality but also to the career overall. So we're not making things easier, we are making things harder. This is something I really want the parents to understand fundamentally. I think that's something I think a lot of students, maybe they don't really understand that part. They feel like, oh, I just grab a little bit here, a little bit there, I just get things down. So if that's the situation, you feel like money talks, go donation, right? Go to do the donation, donate, donate a lot, and maybe you can buy the campus, right? That's the different story. So if you really want to build something with your own hands, just be ready. Yeah. So the result is in your hands. Yeah. But we would try the best to support you. Yeah.